day 1113 of the Trump administration leaves 271 days to go until the next 2020 presidential election. Today, Donald Trump made his first public comments after being found not guilty at his impeachment trial in the Senate. While his voice was mostly low and his tone was mostly calm, his comments themselves were meandering, elation at one extreme, vindictiveness at another, viciousness, bitterness, profanity in between. And we saw him today at two venues, both intended to be presidential, though one more reverential than the other, the National Prayer Breakfast, where Trump celebrated his narrow victory in the Senate and made pointed references to both Mitt Romney and Nancy Pelosi, the latter sitting there on the dais at the event.
As everybody knows, my family, our great country, and your president have been put through a terrible ordeal by some very dishonest and corrupt people. They have done everything possible to destroy us, and by so doing, very badly hurt our nation. I don't like people who use their faith as justification for doing what they know is wrong. Nor do I like people who say, I pray for you, when they know that that's not so.
Hours later, he appeared in the more regal confines of the East Room at the White House, surrounded by friends and family and staff and loyal members of Congress. There, he went after the House Speaker more directly.
This is really not a news conference. It's not a speech. It's not anything. It's just we're sort of, it's a celebration because we have something that just worked out. I mean, it worked out. We went through hell unfairly, did nothing wrong, but this is what the end result is. Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person. And she wanted to impeach a long time ago when she said, I pray for the president. I pray for the president. She doesn't pray. She may pray, but she prays for the opposite. But I doubt she prays at all. They took nothing. They took a phone call that was a totally appropriate call. I call it a perfect call because it was. And they brought me to the final stages of impeachment. But now we have that gorgeous word. I never thought a word would sound so good. It's called total acquittal.
Tempers are still hot over Pelosi's decision to tear up the State of the Union address, which started with Pelosi being denied a handshake, after all. Today, she talked about the president, prayer, and the tone of his Tuesday night speech.
I don't know if the president understands about prayer or people who do pray, but we do pray for the United States of America. I pray hard for him because he's so off the track of our Constitution. I thought what he said about Senator Romney was particularly without class. He's talking about things that he knows little about, faith and prayer. He has shredded the truth in his speech. He's shredding the Constitution in his conduct. I shredded his State of His Mind address.
Pelosi and her House Democrats are now discussing next moves. Meanwhile, Trump's House allies are moving into new leadership positions. Two sources telling NBC News that Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio will now be the top Republican on the Judiciary Committee under Jerry Nadler, while Mark Meadows of North Carolina will replace Jordan as the top Republican over at the Oversight Committee. Both men have a near limitless capacity to defend this president at almost any cost. Today at the White House, and as you hear the following, remember, this aired in the noon hour Eastern Time on live television. The president delivered a full airing of his grievances about past investigations.
We've been going through this now for over 3 years. It was evil, it was corrupt, it was dirty cops, it was leakers and liars. We first went through Russia. It was all bullshit. These are the crookedest, most dishonest, dirtiest people I've ever seen. They said, this is Strzok. God, Hillary should win 100 million to 1. If I didn't fire James Comey, we would have never found this stuff. Because when I fired that sleazebag, all hell broke out. They were ratting on each other. They were running for the hills. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's in the hands of some very talented people. We're going to have to see what happens.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.